Will Lucas here, Black Tech, Green Money. So good to be with you guys for another week. And I got a special guest today. I've been looking forward to this one. We've been planning this for like a month, it feels like. And we are finally here. I am here with Omi Bell, who is the CEO of Black Girl Ventures. It's funded hundreds of companies. Last I looked, it was like 550. It might be more than that by now. Yep. 550 under-resourced companies and positively impacted over 20,000 entrepreneurs, small business owners, and that number is growing also. She's got a partnership with TikTok, continuing a commitment since 2024, I think is when you guys started this. They committed originally $1 million to support Black entrepreneurs by launching the SOAR together, which is, again, continued from 2024. And these are efforts to support Black entrepreneurs. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. It's a business accelerator program that, you know, she's so critical to, especially for Black creators, Black businesses, Black entrepreneurs. So, Omi Bell, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you.
It's good to have you here. And so there's a quote I found from you where I loved it. And I was like, I want to start this conversation off from that. You said $1 billion network equals a multi-million-dollar company. And so I want you to talk about like where you got that concept from and how do you like operationalize that concept into like the decisions you make every day?
Yeah. So my book, Originate, Motivate, Innovate, 7 Steps for Building a $1 Billion Network, and get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy books or read books. Also on Audible, if you listen to books, and it is my voice. So here's the thing that I learned, right? I think when we start businesses, we focus so much on like, oh, I need to like get the product right. I need to like, figure out how this product works and customers and things like that. But when you hit a wall or when you are just stuck in a place where you're trying to understand like how to move, you got to have a network.
Yeah.
And I think like network also means like 2 different things. Like you need your business network of people that you can go ask questions of, but you also need to have your like wellness network, because if you want to get closer to God, become an entrepreneur.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But I came up with what that brought to mind, like coming up with that quote, was I realized the real moment that I started rocking and rolling as an entrepreneur, really, really bringing in impact and things like that, is when I connected my network to the work that I'm doing by thinking about how can I leverage it. Mm-hmm. You want to have, it's an asset. Your network is an asset. Your ability to reach out and use a free space. Your ability to think about like our connection to TikTok means that we can connect creators to different things. We can also do things like figure out how to support even the platform. Sometimes the biggest thing you can do is not asking for the thing that's right in front of you. Mm-hmm. It is thinking like, what else do they have? What else can they offer? What else is available, and how you're going to grow your network? I think $1 billion network means you got enough people there where you can operate something that's a multi-million-dollar thing. It's like you need that. You can get all the capital, but when you hit a wall, you need a person.
Yeah, I would put this on thread a couple of weeks ago. It was like I used to believe everybody should start a business, and I was like, I don't understand why anybody would go get a job, and I don't believe that anymore, because like doing this is like it takes a special kind of person to wake up to just drama every day, stress every day. There's no guaranteed paycheck on Friday. Like you got to go hunt, you got to go find that paycheck. And so like, what kind of people do you, and I'm saying that, you're not saying that, but I'm sure there's something in there you can probably relate to, but I wonder like, what kind of people do you think are best suited for this? Like, what is the makeup of a person who is best suited for this journey?
Oh my goodness. That's such a good question. But to your point around like insight on that, I think that, people ask me all the time, when should I quit my job? How do I know when to quit my job? How do I know should I just jump off the cliff and build, while I'm, no, absolutely not. Do not jump off anybody's cliff. Do not try to build any wings or gain wings.
In this economy? Like, yeah.
Parachute, none of that. You are not a parachute expert. Do not do that. But what you should consider, I always tell them, I don't know how resilient you are. I don't know if you get down to the wire, if you're willing to go donate blood.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're willing to like pawn everything in your house for what you believe in. I don't know if you're You see what I'm saying? Like,
Have you read my journal? Like, goodness gracious. Like, like what I need
what
you, I
are
need you to
you
get
willing
about my
to do?
journal.
I don't know what you're willing to do for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, there's a lot of, I've been seeing a lot of podcast commentary because I'm also a wellness practitioner. There's a lot of podcast commentary out there right now around how work-life balance is BS and like we don't need work-life balance. I don't think work-life balance is purely BS, but what I'll say is the concentration has to be on work-life integration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like everything is work. When people, what time it is now. It's time for me to be doing something. It's how do you think? Even with my staff, when I hire people, I tell them, you can make a mistake, that's fine. But if you're thinking is off, you're gonna constantly make the same mistakes over and over. So I would say, just to break that down, coachability,
Mm-hmm.
your ability to be coachable, resilience, how resilient are you? What are you willing to do for what you believe in? And I mean that by all legal means and safe means necessary. But what are you willing to do for what you believe in?
Yeah.
I don't know that, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't determine that. Your grind is kind of like the most unpredictable factor. That's a part of you building a business, a part of your entrepreneurial repertoire is going to be like, I don't know how far you're willing to go. Some people willing like sleep on couches. Some people like, no, I can't do that. So you got to know you. I think that's the thing. Who are you exactly? And if you don't know, you'll find it out real quick when you try to run a business.
Yeah. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
that question one level deeper. Is because running it, no matter what you're doing, it's gonna be hard, and especially in those early days, especially. And so, at what point do you know it's hard? Yeah, because it's supposed to be hard, but let me keep going, or it's hard because I probably shouldn't be doing this.
I think the thing about strategy is time. Right? Strategy is about time. So you can have like good ideas. You can have, you say, I'm going to, you can have a great to-do list, but you're not being strategic if you don't have time attached to it. So when I started Black Girl Ventures, prior to this, I had a t-shirt company and I was doing that and I was rocking and rolling and I worked myself out of poverty with that t-shirt company. So backing up a step to my story, I'm a computer scientist. I had great jobs, but I had two children. I had my first child when I was 17, my second child when I was 21. Now I didn't grow up in any in the way I grew up was very middle of the most middle class. But as an adult, because I now had these two kids, went to school, all of that, I ended up on Section 8, ended up food stamps, government assistance, all of that just to keep things going. America's not built for a single person with children. That's just a
Mm-hmm.
reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I had good jobs. I was a K through 12 educator. I worked at a patent and trademark office, things like that, but I still couldn't afford to live. Entrepreneurship was really my way out. I had gotten laid off twice. Me and my fiance broke up. I realized I'm not going to get married. Now I have 3 children. And I'm not going to go back to anywhere where anybody can ever come to me and say, I'm laying you off. But people can only see your actions. They don't have your vision. I knew who I was. What it looked like on the outside was crazy.
Yeah.
People were like, what did you do? I built a teepee in my living room and rented it out on Airbnb. People was like, what is she doing? I said, I'm never going back to work for anyone unless the conditions make the most sense for me, but you won't be able to come in and say you laying me off. So in that case, I was looking at like, how am I going to build with whatever I have? And so I learned to print t-shirts. I started a t-shirt line. It took off. We made Essence magazine. We traveled all up and down the East Coast vending. And then I ended up getting deals with like Google and Amazon. I worked myself off of poverty, paid for my kids to go to school, like all those kinds of things. And then Black Girl Ventures came up for me because I need a community. I just didn't want to be head down. That never worked for me. But I had a contract with Google, so I was doing work with Google, bringing in community, training entrepreneurs, and I was starting up Black Girl Ventures. Black Girl Ventures wasn't bringing in as much money, so I said, I'm gonna give it 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it all I got for 3 months. If it don't take off for 3 months, I'm letting it go. And I think it's important for people to wrap time around what you're trying.
Yeah.
So and don't keep trying the same thing for the whole time, right? Like give yourself a time window. Okay, I'm gonna go at this while I work. Hello, please be working.
Mm-hmm.
While I have some income coming in, I'm gonna go at this as hard as I can for 6 months.
Yeah.
Move it.
Yeah. So I gotta add, so I'm formulating this question as I speak because you just said a couple things that I want to dig deeper on? Like you talked about, like you worked yourself out of poverty by building this business, this T-shirt line. Then you talked about the work you're doing with Google with training entrepreneurs. And my first thought was that Omi is different than the Omi that is now. And what about that Omi that was probably new in business or hadn't been wildly successful yet says to Google, I'm gonna go train entrepreneurs on your behalf?
You're good at this. Like not everybody's good at it.
I
Okay.
appreciate it.
So,
I appreciate it.
so the what's interesting about the difference between that Omi and this Omi is I was way more willing to take more risks. Right now, I have so many partners, I have so many alliances. You're not gonna catch me on anybody's social media talking bad about anybody, to be
Yeah,
honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
And that's a hard place to be in, right? It's a privilege because I honestly have been blessed enough for these brands to allow me to do the work I feel like I want to do. That's a blessing. Not everybody gets that. They're not dictating what I do. They say, even with our relationship with TikTok, I came to them, they said, hey, we like what you're doing, let's talk. We started talking. I said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to put together a fund that would give out marketing money to entrepreneurs because that's the one thing that creators don't have, marketing dollars. They said, okay. I said, I want to do storytelling around it. So we did 2 seasons of a podcast called the Way In series. And they also worked with, we went through a TikTok accelerator as well to like learn how to use a platform more. So where that brands go through. So all of these resources that came to me, I'm trying to learn and give it back all the time. I'm trying to like take what I
Yeah.
got and give it back. So that me then didn't have anything. I had nothing to lose. I had no money. I had no alliances. I was like, bet, boom, 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 I'm gonna do whatever. When I started to work with Google, they were launching a brand new program. And again, network. I was already a Google supplier. So I was already doing business with them. The person I was doing business with them through said, hey, we're starting this new program where we're going to train entrepreneurs. We would love to have you a part of it. I said, okay, the parameters were loose. Now, what a program is now is way different than when I started because they still have it, a digital coaching program, but it's different now. In fact, if they still have it.
Mhm.
But again, I've been privileged enough, blessed enough, I'll say, to work with partners who say, here's what we want, go do that. At that moment, I got to create, I got to think of how I wanted to do it. And that was a space that honestly, working at Google shifted a lot for me. It taught me how to be a leader. It also helped me. They gave us access and privilege that our average contractors didn't have. So I've been to Google offices all around the world. Also, just looking at the way they have treated their employees. And I'm not caping for Google, but I'm just saying that
Mhm.
like it taught me a lot to see this idea of like we treat you well and you'll do the work well. We'll feed you.
Yeah.
You can take a nap. You can go for a swim. You could, whatever. You getting the work done. We're gonna get things done for you, and that helped me adapt as a leader in terms of like who I am now.
Got it. You said something about one thing creators and honestly small business owners don't have is marketing dollars. And too often we get into business and we think about every expense or investment except marketing dollars, advertising dollars. And so, can you talk about how important it is, number one, to have the thinking that I need to set aside resources to put my brand, my product, my stuff in front of people and build awareness, and how we get those resources to be able to do that when we already have limited resources?
100%. I mean, part of what I want to bring up here is the power of storytelling. That's really what is in that your business has to sell things. You have to sell yourself. And you have to sell yourself, not your soul, right? Like you have to sell your product, you have to sell your service. But the story you're telling and the way you position that story is everything. And this is, with the way we use our TikTok is all about like how do we help these founders get positioned to tell the story. So if you're local and you're like, I'm looking for that hair braider or that skincare line or that, and you're like, hey, or it's at the nearest variety store, go buy it. So to amass over 200,000 followers, over 30 million impressions, and working with TikTok the way that we work is all about how can we tell the best stories so that people can get access. And so in terms of marketing dollars, that's what I realized that people are missing. If I could go, if I were to go back to 2016, we're gonna be 10 next year. If I were to go back to 2016 and launch BGV all over again, I would launch an impact report. I would launch some kind of white paper, some kind of report, and then I would go on a narrative tour. And I would build the narrative first. So what I did was I went off of the stat, less than 1% of Black and brown women are receiving venture capital, less than 2% of women are receiving venture capital. And I was looking at so much of that as problem, I'm the solution. Problem, I'm the solution.
Yeah.
But in the narrative of all of this is what I learned over time, which is we talk about families. We're not talking about some flippant, just like, oh, a VC didn't give you funding. No, we're talking about your ability to be economically sound. And I experienced that firsthand and still didn't see that tie until way later, where I was like, shoot, had it not been for me starting a business, I wouldn't have been able to put my kids through college by myself on a teacher's salary.
That's right.
It's just not a reality. So I think that in terms of like where I have developed over time, what I have learned over time is like, I wish that I could get out to founders because sometimes founders can't hear. Yeah, sometimes creators, they can't hear. They're doing what they're doing. They're in it. That's all they see. And I probably was like that at some point. I was a hard-headed teenager. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they're not teenagers, but I'm just saying that like it's hard to hear, but if narrative, storytelling, position yourself. Cause I'm the kind of person that if I'm on a list and they say, oh, Omi is the top 100 people with glasses on, honey, you would have thought I was number one. I was posting it. I'm the top person with glasses on. Like you gotta really maximize everything you get when you're in the early stages of entrepreneurship. And I never let that go, which is why we are so well positioned with companies like Nike or TikTok or Pimco, is because that narrative part, I'm always focused on that.
So when you partner with a company / brand like a TikTok, what are some of the things you insist on, like non-negotiable things that, you authentic, you come into this authentically, and they have things that they are trying to achieve also? Like, what are some of the things that are like non-negotiables for you and that you insist on, and where might you have had to compromise, if at all?
Yeah, that's a great question. We live in this crazy economic time. So I think that it's shifted in terms of what I have the ability to insist on who we serve and how we serve in a way. And it's not that, it's not the brands that are saying that to me, right? It's more like the landscape that we are living in that causes us to have to shift, right? The brands are still doing the work. I'll be honest. The brands that we work with behind the scenes, they still are doing the work. It's just that, again, from that storytelling piece and that narrative piece, we all got to be talking different about it. So I would say that now I feel like I have to compromise because of where we exist, the current landscape, not because of the brands. I want to be clear on that. I feel like I have to compromise with how I want to refer to the audience that I serve. And that pains me. If I'm being honest, it pains me. I hate it. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to loud and proud say Black and brown and not feel like I got to worry about being sued or anything like that. We're just not living in that kind of space right now. And so I've been bullish on that though. I've been bullish that like I want to serve who I want to serve, the way I want to serve them, where I need to serve them. I know I'm an entrepreneur. I serve entrepreneurs and I know exactly what I need to do. Just fund us, tell us your wins. We will make the wins happen for you. We'll make these wins mutual. In terms of compromising, I can't say I've had to make a lot of compromises. I mean, maybe sometimes I compromise on location. Like somebody, maybe a partner wants to go to a city that I'm like, we could go to that city, but is that the best city for us to be in? Sometimes I'm lifting a city for a partner, right? So that's why they want me to go there, because they're trying to lift the city themselves. And so one of the things that we're good at on behind the scenes, and this is something I want to share with entrepreneurs too, is reporting. Our reporting is a unique value proposition for us in ways of why people work with us, because we really focus on like how much impact we can make and how we can report it to you according to your wins.
Yeah.
You get money based off of who needs a raise. If I can get you a raise, I'm gonna get money.
That makes so much sense. That makes so
Yes,
much
I
sense.
mean like that but I mean ultimately I haven't had to make a lot of compromises. Like I said, I feel extremely blessed that the partners who come to us say, I am authentic, this is who I am. And I'm like, hey, we're gonna do what we do and we want y'all to rock with us. And they have been.
Yeah, so I want to go back to the point you just made about, having to talk differently about it. And this is so interesting to me because, I've also sat in like seats to where you have impact and there is a time to be vocal and also a time to be quiet.
Mm.
And I wonder what your thoughts are on is is the forced discussion that we have had to confine to a way of speaking, is that not, can we see that as an opportunity? And here's what I mean by that is because, so when you're in a position of power and it's not the time to be vocal, you can, hey, get through the door. I'm gonna hold this door open. Shh, just keep it, just get through the door, and I'm gonna get as many of y'all through this door as possible. And we gonna let them do what they gotta do over there. But as many of y'all get through this door while I'm gonna be quiet. Sometimes being too loud causes too much attention to what you're trying to do. So I just wonder what your thoughts are on how we can think about it. Can we shift our narrative to thinking about opportunity also and fighting, speaking truth to power? But how do we see opportunity in this? I guess is the point I'm making.
Yeah, so it's interesting because some people don't like these answers. So you ask the question, I feel like a lot of people are like, no, be radical, no, be loud, no, always. Like, but I think what I tell people when you're moving in realms of power, there's a few different principles. There's pleasing, appeasing, proving, and adapting. No matter how
Mm,
much money people have, they're doing those things. They're pleasing each other, they're appeasing each other, they're proving to each other, and they're adapting. So when people say like, I don't got nothing, I don't care about nothing, or I don't got nothing to prove. Well, that person doesn't have a lot of power because
mm,
everybody in power got something to prove. I don't care from the biggest billionaire to the smallest millionaire. They all have something to prove. And it's just a part of the game, right? So it doesn't always make sense for you to speak up in a certain way because you're gonna knock out one of those principles. You're
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
be, it's gonna cause you impede on your appeasing of someone that you need to appease for you to be able to help your community. So it's always like a dance
Mm-hmm.
and interesting enough to where you're asking during the George Floyd, when George Floyd was murdered and this big like waterfall moment, we were not on social media running down like power to the people kind of stats.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
we were addressing it, we were saying what we were saying, we were supporting people on the back end, but we were mindful of what the narrative needed because we knew this day was coming.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
day that we're in right now, this day was inevitable. So it was like we're not gonna not stand for our people. So to your point, exactly what the way you described it, that was my thought. Let's get this door open. Let's hold it open. Let's pull as many people through here as we can in this moment. Let's get as much of this capital and give it away. Like how much of this capital could we take and give away? That's literally what my thought was. And so I set up a system to be able to have all the calls and the meetings and be able to get the capital in quickly. And then we scaled exponentially through that serving virtually because of the pandemic, but also the level of capital that we were able to get in because I knew I had something. I think another thing is that if you know you have something, that is more the reason for you to figure out the dance. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you figure out the dance, once you get in there, you know you got something. All I needed was the money. I was already doing the work. I knew I could impact people. I knew I could put systems around getting the money out. I knew that. So it would have did a disservice to me and my community had I taken a certain route of discussion. Now I host a Sirius XM show and I'm very vocal about what I'm protesting, what I'm not. I'm very vocal about politics in the ways that I think about it. I'm very vocal about service to others. And I don't back down and compromise on those things, but I do think about how I say them. Absolutely.
I love that. Um, so you talked about how you knew you had something, and the people that you target are the people who need a raise. Those are the people that can create these opportunities. How do you know who has the budgets. Like when you go knock on the door, let's pick a company, TikTok, Nike, Google, the ones that you part. Like, how do you know where to go? I got something. I know I can affect my community. Somebody here needs a raise. How do you know who got the budget?
Yeah, great question. So, from a non, we're a nonprofit. So from a nonprofit standpoint, there's going to be a couple of roles that match up with people who got a budget. It's going to be your CSR people, corporate social responsibility, your impact people. So the impact side of things, which is usually the philanthropic arms of the corporations. There's also marketing always got the money. So by the way, like the marketing people, they always have the budgets, but they're a little bit different to work with. So you have to figure that out. Now, if it comes to philanthropy, then you might be looking for program officers, or you might be looking for people who are launching something new. So sometimes I'm looking for like who's launching a new thing, and then who's ahead of that launch, and what does that look like, and how does that align with our entrepreneurs that we serve. I'm also keeping my ear to the street, and this is where your network comes into play. Now, it's silly enough. This is a bit of behind the scenes, that this question you're asking me right now, because a lot of people try to figure this out. We have networked our way through global affairs or political affairs, but that's because I was based in DC. I'm in LA now, but I was based in DC. And being based in DC, I would, go to Capitol Hill for different things, or because different companies would we would go round tables, things like that. Or I was in that ecosystem. So think about one thing that people need to think about is your proximity to what kind of thing in your local area. Because I was in DC, my proximity to the government was right there. Now, global affairs people don't directly have a budget, but they know all the people that got the budgets. So that's how we got some of the deals that we got, because I was working my way through some of that Capitol Hill network. Um, Also your trade associations, or things that you're a part of, things you're a membership of. I'm a member of a couple of different things, where I've gotten a couple of different opportunities to meet different people, navigate through different things. I think, but one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur is really to know what you're looking for. Once you land on that, you can kind of navigate your way to the person who's ahead of it, or the person who's the assistant of the person. Don't take anybody for granted. That's for sure. I tell people all the time, it was the janitor that let Fantasia back into that American Idol, performance. Her initial time when she got selected. Don't take anybody for granted. I'm speaking to everybody, from the cleaning lady to the like whoever's the assistant. All those people can get you where you need to go. You gotta be a people person.
So what can so you, goodness, I ain't got to none of the questions I had because you saying so much that it's like I want to go deeper on all of these things you're saying. Like you just said, marketing always has the budget, and I wonder like what are we missing as small business owners? Because if these big companies know marketing needs the budget, they always delegate in that budget. But we small business are like marketing ain't never got the budget. We trying to always do something organically, always trying to get it to go. Just hope hey like share retweet whatever organically. But we starve marketing in our businesses. Like what are we missing there with that thinking?
So I think, again, as the person who's creating the business, you have so many things on your mind. You're thinking my product needs to be great. You're thinking my software needs to be great. You're thinking my service needs to be great. How many mediocre things do we know out there? Like the little kid juice box, it's the worst
Yeah,
invention.
yeah,
Every time you put that straw, you gonna get some juice out of it. Like straw barely goes in.
that's right.
It's just, stop worrying so much about having the perfect product or perfect service, and just find the person who likes to engage in imperfect things.
Oh wow, that's
That's the
good.
way to think about it. There's so many of us who will be, to be honest, sometimes we're shooting for such a high bar, and most people are mediocre. I hate to say it, but like most people just like the average thing, and that's okay. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But we want like the perfect thing, the bigger thing, the badder thing, and it's like, find you a market, and just take this like stronghold over it. Like if you know people who got locks, and and they go to church on Sundays, and shoot, just go market to them.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
thinking you need the people that got straight hair and locks and they go to church on Saturday. Like, you got to get real specific. I think what we're missing is specificity. We don't get specific, we don't get particular, and we don't think about owning the market that we can own. We think so broad about owning every market. And I think it's the thing where social media can be helpful with platforms like TikTok, where you have the ability to kind of throw out what you want and have people find you and run ads, TikTok shop. People are making like you know, people are making their annual salaries selling on TikTok shop. Like, so I
yeah.
think we have to dig into where these platforms support us.
Finally, there's over time with this TikTok partnership. How do you envision it evolving? Whether that's deeper platform integration for our creators and entrepreneurs, maybe revenue sharing models adjust, or something like. What do you imagine it looks like if you look out 3, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think imagine what it looks like for me and them, or what it
Yeah, the
looks like
partnership,
for.
and
Okay,
hopefully
yeah,
what the
got it.
partnership outcomes are, even if it's
Yeah,
not BGV or TikTok.
yeah, yeah. I think understanding that digital marketing equals economic empowerment, and so I think I'm looking forward to the tools that they're developing to continue to drive awareness, boost sales, connect people to new markets. I think that BGV is equipping people with practical skills. We're also looking at we also focus on storytelling and things like that. But I think that like one of the pieces of TikTok that's really interesting to me is the live selling part. I think that like some other platforms are trying to do it, but they haven't been able to nail it the way TikTok has it. Like the way that the live selling connected to the TikTok shop, connected to you being able to get like points on screen, connected to like so I'm looking to the evolution of that and how like even how can we raise money for BGV but support our brands?
Hmm.
Right? Like, okay, we have all these founders that have come through us with bunches of products. Some of them are selling on TikTok shop. So I'm looking forward to ways that like we can do things like that. More partnerships that are where TikTok is a player in a partnership, but we're working with the creators to really help them get access, help them get up to speed. So we did a part of that program that you mentioned earlier, that we worked on was a part of helping people with TikTok shop. So we pulled in Hey Shanta Q. She's like got over 1 million followers. She was actually one of our founders early on. We knew her way before this moment. So I think we get to see people early. So I'm looking forward to partnerships like TikTok continuing to help us support the longevity of founders through live selling, through continuous storytelling, ways that storytelling can take place that maybe we haven't thought of yet. So yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that wasn't the last question. I lied. So this is the last question. So
Oh, okay.
you because you renewed from 2024. We're in we're in 2025 now, deep into 2025. So where does the partnership, like where are we in this 2025 cycle of this partnership, and what's the plan?
We are evolving. Okay, that's what I said. We are
Yeah.
we are coming back to the table and thinking through like what makes sense. Up next, we have, I'm not exactly sure when this will air, but we have a live pitch competition that we're doing. So we do a competition called Pull Up and Pitch. Pull Up and Pitch is typically a competition where we go into a city and anybody in the city can literally pull up and pitch. You got 60 seconds. There's 3 judges. You get a thumbs up, thumbs down. You get 1 thumbs up, you get $200. You get 2 thumbs up, you get $250. You get 3 thumbs up, you get $500. You go to the next round to pitch for up to $10,000, depending on who the partner is at that time. We are going to run that on TikTok.
Hmm.
And so in November 18th, I believe it is to be exact, we're going to be running that. And this will be our first time experimenting with what it means to do a live pitch competition. We'll work with them to help like get some amplification on the platform so the live goes bigger. And we're gonna see like what does it look like to live stream and give out capital. I mean,
Yeah.
if we can make this work, I can see the partnership evolving to matching dollars, evolving into what can happen with TikTok shop, if I like shop the like shop the competition kind of stuff
Yeah.
is what we're looking forward to.